guys, welcome back to the Average Day in the Life of the Heathen. I am the Heathen. Now, on this video, I'm going to tell you all the story about Thomas Salinas, Brian Prog, and the felony that I was the complaining witness against Thomas Salinas for and why. So down in the comments, guys, I want y'all to leave me your true and honest opinion only after you listen to the entire video. Now, if you wish to do your research, you will see that everything I tell in here to you is true and correct. Alright, well, enjoy the video, guys, and listen. If, like I said, leave me your comments down below, but at least give it a thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever you want to do. But, you know, comment and like it or dislike it, and share it and tell everybody, look at this crazy man. Now, I can't really tell y'all this story without kind of doxing myself, and it will be all part of the public record. All this is going to be public record, okay? It was, first of all, I'll tell y'all my name is Bobby Kennedy. Like I said, it'll be part of the public record. It was before Hurricane Ike, a couple years before Hurricane Ike, so it's been about, oh, it's probably really been close to about 18, 19 years ago. Okay. Brian Prog was a small kid that was about 10 years old, a little bitty old thing. Thomas Salinas was 21 years old, and he was bigger than me, okay? He stood a couple inches bigger than me. He was bigger than me. He was 21. I had come outside my house, so I was working on something there in the driveway, and I had like a couple acres, so I was a pretty good ways, or a couple of lots, I was a pretty good ways away from the street. And I heard a commotion, so I started walking out to the street, and what I seen was a little kid, Brian Prog, running from a car. He was being chased by a car on a bicycle. He was on a bicycle running from a car being chased. Now, I was on a dead-end street, and I was at the dead end, okay? And there was like an open lot across the street from me that Brian Prog tried to cut into, but the car come flying up, and big old giant Thomas Salinas, about 6'2", jumped out of that car, ran, snatched that little boy off that bicycle, and threw him down to the ground. Started booting him. And for those of you who do not know what booting is, he started kicking him amongst the head and face and things of this nature with boots on. Thomas Salinas was 21 years old, and he was, like I said, over 6 foot tall. And I was walking out there, and I said, what the hell? And Thomas Salinas stopped beating on the kid, and he ran and he got in his car. I was kind of in shock, but I still walked up to the car anyway. I did not know what was fixing to take place at this point in time. Thomas Salinas had got into his car. I walked up to the driver's side door. Thomas Salinas looked up to me and he said, he scratched my car. Again. I gotta stand up, guys, because the little boy was this big. Thomas Salinas was this big. The little boy was 10. Thomas Salinas was 21. Okay? Thomas Salinas, who was 21, was living with his girlfriend down the street, and her parents, she was 14. That's a whole nother story. At any rate, he looked at me, he says, he scratched my car. And that put me in even more shock. So I said, dude, you could have called the police, you could have filed a civil suit, you could be paid, and that little scratch on this junk car that ain't even worth $2 grand would have been paid for. But what I just seen you do, that is a felony. If I see you ever do that again, I will see you in jail. Thomas Salinas slammed his car back into park. I took one step back with intentions on letting him try to get out of his car. And I know your auditors and all you friends of your auditors think I'm just a big old sissy and a big old pussy, but y'all do not know. Thomas Salinas decided he did not want to do that. He put his car back in reverse and he backed off down the road. Meantime, Brian Prog, the little boy, had got up and ran down to 67th Street. I was living on 66 Avenue Q. The address was 6602 Avenue Q. It was Morris Avenue, the dead end. He ran to 67th Avenue Q, where Thomas Salinas lived on one side of the street, and a dude named Larry lived on the other. Larry had a kid that was like 16, 17 years old. All the little gangbangers calling themselves Bloods was all hanging out right there at that house that belonged to Larry. That is where Brian Prog ran. Well, Thomas Salinas got in his car. He had left the neighborhood. I walked down there to the corner of 67th and Q, where Brian Prog and all these little gangbangers was at. And I seen Brian Prog, and he had this big, huge knot on his head, size of a softball, not a baseball, a softball, big, huge one. I'm like, oh man, well the kid was coherent, he was talking fine, he was moving fine. I didn't really see there was no need to, ask for an ambulance, emergency, and things like this. I did not. But what I did do was, I said, Brian, I said, come here with me. And one of them little gangbangers grabbed him and snatched him away, and he said, why, what do you think you're gonna do? I said, well, we're calling the cops. He said, you ain't calling nobody. This is my brother, blah, 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 blah. I said, all right, hold on one second, watch this. I walked back down the street to my house, I walked inside, I got my phone, and I walked back outside, and I walked down back there where they could see me, and I dialed 911. Amongst them. Okay? Now, all of them scattered like roaches. Brian Prog, he got away from them like a block down the road. Came back to my house. Back to the dead end. Now, Thomas Salinas, he started driving onto the street, because he lived right down to the end. Every time Thomas Salinas would drive onto the street, one of these gangbangers would come onto the street. Brian Prog, the little boy with the big knot on his head, would run and slide himself underneath my 1977 Monte Carlo. For those of you who do not know, you got very little clearance underneath that car. It's not so easy. I can't slide up underneath, I'll tell you that. Okay? But at any rate, I had called the police that night. Now, the police, they already know, pretty much what I'm all about. Again, all of you do not, maybe, I don't know. I'm pretty sure the new cops know too. That was, like I said, about 18, 20 years ago. But I called the cops. They took their sweet ass time getting there, guys. It took them about 2.5 hours to get there. I shit you not. About 2.5 hours to get there. So this had happened at about 9 o'clock in the evening, 8:30 in the evening, so they come rolling up about 11:30. The cops, whoo, I was mad. Listen guys, you do your research and you find out the officers is there, and I'm sure they will tell you. What I'm telling you is fact. As soon as they rolled up there, first thing I did was I chastised them. I said, it's about blah, 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 blah time, with some choice words. Then I told them what Thomas Salinas did, and told them if I see this again, I will break his back. Oh, well, then we'll have to take you to jail. Yeah, that's true. These are actual names, actual people, and actual places. Brian Prog was the little boy. Thomas Salinas was the kid that beat him up. The cops, I don't know their name. I know I went to the police station, and as I was telling the cop everything, what I just told y'all, he was typing it down. And sure enough, as quick as I could talk it, he could type it. So, that is the story of Brian Prog, Thomas Salinas, and the felony that Thomas Salinas was charged with that night, and why. So I want you guys down in the comments to give me your comments. Tell me you think I'm a snitch. Think I was right, wrong, whatever you want to think. Yes, I did call them cops.